Hello and welcome to another episode of my Let's Play World of Tanks, and I am finishing up the Renault FTAC right now, the last game that I'll be playing in the AC here, and it's actually an interesting TD because it is a very tall tank destroyer. As you can see, the gun shield sticks up very, very high, which means it is a very easy to hit tank, and that really hurts it. But then again, when you're only going against tier 2s, it's really not so bad. It just so happens to be just an extra large target for others to hit. Now, that being said, it's still, the gun on it's very great at penetration. It's a little slow, and the spacing for the aiming is only 9 degrees, I believe, but overall it's not bad. Again, the tallness of it is the only thing that hurts it, because it cannot easily hide behind cover, but it can actually do so better than the next tank in the tree for the French TDs. But overall, I mean, I really did end up enjoying this tank. For a tier 2, it's not bad. I can't really say I have a personal favorite. Tier 2s are tier 2s and they go by so quickly, but it is, you know, just something different to try out than the standard German, USSR, and US stuff. Now, as for all the stuff on the side, as you see, like the colors and whatnot else, that is actually XVM mod, which is kind of pulls player stats and kind of does a mathematical little function to get a player rating, so to speak. But it's kind of loosely based, because the player rating actually is affected by clan wars and tournaments and company battles, in addition to standard games. So it's potential that they can be modified and tweaked beyond the normal, how do you want to put it, the normal variances of just standard play. But it does give you somewhat of a decent idea of players. Like, as you can see here, I've played 6,000 games. A guy on the other team has played 11,000 games. It gives you your win percentage of those games. I mean, if you play a couple thousand Clan Wars games and a couple thousand of your company battles, then it will affect it, but otherwise it kind of just gives you a decent sort of mix there. I only really use it just to see where I sit in the rankings. I never really look at what other people are or really bring that into consideration, because it's so swayed either which way. A lot of it's luck. I mean, someone can be rated the lowest in this grouping and they can still outperform everyone else, and it doesn't mean anything. It's a lot of luck and a lot of circumstance. And of course, the major thing where it shows your chance to win right there, that isn't necessarily a true value. I've seen anything happen, so I wouldn't even go off that as your chance to win or anything like that. It's simply, I use it simply to see where I sit, because I know I haven't played very many clan wars or company battles or anything like that that would truly affect my stats. I mean, it's a stat horse sort of thing. I would not recommend getting it for the average user. It's kind of useless. And I will say this tank is pretty phenomenal. It does actually have decent armor, as big as that hitbox is. Anyway, so yeah, XVM, if you really want it, you can go and find it on Curse. I'll put the link up to Curse, but overall, people have been asking what mods I use. The reticle's still Jimbo's. That was updated for 7.4. The icons on the sides are Greppa's mod. I will, of course, link all that up through, what is that called? Curse, which is the mod site that I go to. And the little thing along the bottom, the numbers, I honestly don't remember where that's from. That is related mostly to artillery and also the facing of your turret. And I was given it in an email. I did not download it, so I have no idea which file it was. You guys might be on your own to go and find that one. Sorry, but can't help you there. It might be in Curse, it might not. So, otherwise, this tank, I mean, I've noticed a lot of drop in this cannon, the 45mm. It seems to aim very much, or fall heavily after, I'd say, maybe 50 yards. You'll see it start to drop rather quickly. So that actually, it's a really interesting mechanic because normally you see rounds go anywhere in that circle, but this gun seems to be very low velocity, and thus you'll see it just drop, as opposed to like your higher velocities will kind of curve out any which direction. So that's actually something that's very useful to note, because it helps you if you know where your round is going to end up dropping, rather than anywhere in that circle, because that way you can aim differently depending on what you think you're going to see and what you're going to have to deal with. Now, a lot of people actually argue, another thing that I've noticed actually, is a lot of people argue back and forth of, should you cap, should you kill all the enemy? I always preach, whatever is the easiest for you to accomplish. Some people say there's an advantage to either way. There really isn't. In the grand scheme of things, it all works out. You can cap or you can kill everyone else. I go for whatever's going to guarantee me the win as quick as possible. I don't like to dilly-dally or put anything at risk. So if I think I can out-cap someone that wants to go hunt down the one enemy team, they can go hunt them down. I'm going to sit there and cap simply because I want that win and I want it now. I don't want to have to go and fuss around or potentially get a draw because we ran out of time. Anything like that. And so, I mean, it's, like I said, it's an argument back and forth that's been going on forever. And I personally just find it easier to cap sometimes. So, that was a really awesome round with 8 kills there, and I believe Top Gun there. And 27 out of 21, or 21 out of 27 rather, that ain't bad at all. So, let's move on to another tank here, shall we? So, I've upgraded the little, I don't even remember what it's called now, the Tier 2 AT to the UE-57, which is the Tier 3 tank destroyer of the French. It basically is like a little gun carrier more than it is actually a tank destroyer, because as you can see here, it is awfully tiny. And I mean, if you look at the mechanics of it, it's more meant to propel the gun into a set position and then have the gunners stand behind it, and as I try and get through a wall here, the gunners stand behind it and actually load and operate the gun while standing as opposed to being mounted like as in a Martyr or any other standard TD. That actually, oh man, this thing's so tiny it can't break through anything. Good thing I'm going this way. Eek. Now this actually is the same gun as the other TD at the moment, but that's simply because of the fact that I haven't upgraded it yet. But as you can see, it actually produces a much smaller hitbox. I could legitimately hide behind this little thing that gets run over by every other tank normally. And it can work to its advantage, but can also be a disadvantage. Because as you can see, if I were to try and snipe through here, it's impossible. I can't even aim over it because I'm so tiny. But what I can do is use a lot more cover to my advantage, because not a lot is actually going to be able to see me. And I can always hide behind bigger things, which is pretty useful. And just take advantage of such small terrain that normally would negatively impact me. Now, not to get killed here is the trick. Especially when there's a tank behind me. But this thing does move really wicked fast. And so I can really turn around, move, shoot, get up into different positions really quick. And as you can see, I do actually hit for a lot, so wasted shot, but you get the point. This thing can actually do quite a bit of damage, and when I upgrade to the next tier gun, it should be even that much better. But in the meantime, it is suitable for tier 3s. Going into tier 4s though, you might be a little hard pressed to actually be able to do a lot, because of the simple fact that you just aren't running the penetration you need. But where it is now is not half bad. Let's see here, this thing's gonna come up behind me. Come on, turn. Ooh, you got away. While not exactly the quickest turning tank, and also a very limited 7-degree sort of aim side to side, and a very nice upwards positioning, but almost next to no downward positioning. Actually, this isn't half bad. It's a lot better than I thought. but this is level, that's down. So you're talking not much in terms of the grand scheme of things. Overall though, this little tank does have a lot of promise. I just need to upgrade the cannon to the highest tier 1 and it should be a lot better. As I was saying though, it's definitely a little bit different because of its size. It is not the standard TD that you're used to seeing, and like I said, that small hitbox might work towards its advantage. Let's do one more game and then call it there. I'll have a little interesting demonstration for everyone. Okay, so there is a lot going on screen here, and hopefully this all makes sense. But I figured I'd show you guys a little bit of a support that I was receiving from a buddy of mine here. My friend Gilly was playing his VK and I was playing my artillery, and I want to show you guys just how well that a coordinated team can both support each other and support their artillery. So as he gets set up to snipe on Campanova, I have to move quite a distance to get ready to deal with my targets, because the initial place of artillery on this board is not so easy. And so to move my G-dub, I have to go pretty far to get in position. And I'm going to end up having to lead a lot of my shots and just kind of guesstimate where people are going. As you can see right there, I just kind of fire out and hope that I'm going to hit something, but the moment I fire, I immediately move. I don't want to stay around to wait for the artillery to range in on where my position was if they're looking for me. It's kind of a risky chance that you can stay still. Not a lot of people are going to counter battery, but there is a good chance they will, because you'd be surprised just how many people hold still and don't actually move. So one thing you need to remember to do is always move the moment you pull that trigger. Not before, because then a shot's going to go wild, which I've done on rare occasion. And your shots go wild enough as it is, you don't need to add to that. But the moment you do shoot, you need to move, like I do there. Worst comes to worst, that way you're being safe. You're going to relocate to get ready for another shot in a different location. And so, as we go on here, it's kind of one of those things where if it's a leading shot, I can sometimes make them. If it's a blind shot, sometimes I can make those as well. But a lot of times it's just the simple, if they're static, I can easily hit them, no problem. And even then sometimes it's kind of a crap shot. There's a lot of randomness that goes into it, a lot of the terrain affects it. Sometimes you'll hit right even outside the aiming circle. And I've been using the server-side reticle ever since they introduced it into the game as an actual selectable option. I didn't like it how it had originally been something that kind of was a overlay on top of your typical reticle, but now that it's kind of on its own, I really do like it. And that's what I've been using ever since. So that really does help out a lot. That way you're not kind of in between the two or missing because what the server showed and what you actually showed were two different things. No problems like that. So as we try and wind up and take out this Type 59 up here so that we can get some movement up on the hill, you notice that my buddy Gilly is kind of getting ready to start his advance up there. I was talking with him this whole time about trying to locate and move and when he needs to get going and how we're going to end up taking care of this hill because we don't really have anyone pushing up there. Kind of one of those things where we're just working on some teamwork here. And of course, one of the major things with artillery is you can run it on your own, no problem. It's when you run it with a teammate or someone that you're on TeamSpeak or even the in-game channels with, it really helps to be able to have someone who's willing to coordinate with you and willing to even spot for you, which we'll get to in a minute. But just the simple fact that we're going to be working in tandem, he's going to be seeing targets, he's going to be telling me what he knows he can take care of, what he wants me to help him with. That's going to make far better targets than just what I'm doing here by simply mousing over the target I want, hitting the T button to let the other artillery know, and then firing away hoping for the best, and then seeing what else decides to hit around it. As I just said there, hitting target button, which for me is the T key, that's something that is very important, because otherwise you cannot really guarantee that you're not going to have 3 different artillery pieces ranging in on the same target. It's kind of a common courtesy. If you see someone targeting like a super heavy tank and it has 90% of its health, they're targeting it so that hopefully they're going to get you to also target it and bring in all your shells on one tank, hopefully destroying it or at least bringing it down to below half or reducing its effectiveness. Now, if it's like a SPG or a TD or any other tank where they're kind of low on health, you figure that you could probably one or two shot it and they target it. It's probably saying that, hey, this is mine, focus on another target so we're not wasting shells. So it's kind of one of those things where you got to see what it is they're targeting and what the health is. You got to go off of that. You want to assist, but you don't want to steal from them. And of course, the more important thing is you don't want to end up wasting a shot that you can otherwise be landing elsewhere when you would otherwise need that shell to hit. You know, maybe you could take out two targets simultaneously, and that could turn the tides of the war. You don't know. You need to really pay attention to what they're targeting. And of course, working together with your team and your other artillery pieces like that will certainly go a long way. Now, as he slowly crests that hill here, I am looking out on this building because I know that there's an IS there, and I don't know what else is there, but I know there's some things, and I need to be kind of cautious and wary of it. So I have to kind of wait until he can spot some things. I can't just lob a shell recklessly up there because I don't want to waste the shell. Don't want to be sitting there waiting, and of course, what if he spots something and needs my reaction immediately? Now, he's able to hit this IS. I really don't have a shot on it. I could, of course, weave a shot in some places, but there's other juicier targets, like this Luva. It is a much more important target, and I knew that he could easily take hits from the IS without problems, whereas the Lion, he needs me to help him burn it down. And that's, of course, what we're doing right now, is we are burning down the Lion because it is the stronger, more deadly target. Whereas that IS, well, there's a chance he'll penetrate and do damage, but a better chance that he'll just bounce off and really won't be that effective. So, once the Lion is dealt with, we can focus back on some other targets, like the KV-2 or the IS. But I actually noticed that there's a Lorraine running around out here, and we both decided that, hey, he can take some hits from an IS. That's no problem. It's the Lorraine and its ability to alpha strike him for his whole load of health within one full magazine, and we decided that that thing needed to go first. So we focused on that. We also had our TD friend in the background put a shell in as well, just to quickly finish him off. Luckily, he wasn't really looking where he needed to be to take out the VK here, but the simple fact that if he was and he actually decided to go pull at it, that could have easily reduced our VK's effectiveness or killed him, because he would have been running around him or putting up upwards of 12,000, is it 12? 1,200 damage, I believe, into a single tank with all his rounds, and that would have been really detrimental. So it's one of those things where we were all working together. We're like, this target's mine, I got it covered, focus on this other target because we need that dead in order for me to advance. And so, like we're doing here, he's slowly advancing while I'm worrying about this IS-3, keeping him pinned in, trying to do a little bit of splash damage here and there. He, of course, will see a Hummel coming up here, and I could go and try and range in and put that shot in on the Hummel, but it was just so much easier for him to take care of it, allow me to focus on other things. Well, this VK here, for example, was not really much of a threat, but we had that IS pinned in. We had several tanks already on him, so we didn't need to go ahead and deal with that, as my monitor faded out there. So I decided we'd go ahead and take care of this VK, eliminate the chance of him really doing anything, because I think he was threatening our IS as well. And so we didn't want to have to risk losing our IS on top of things. Or ISU, rather, I'm sorry. And so luckily enough hits hit him. He was able to get static enough for me to land a shot in on him without having to guess too much. And we were able to wrap things up here as the IS is still pinned. Our VK is eventually able to get around to a nice soft juicy flank, put a shell in, line it up, and kill him. So I'm going to show you one more really awesome bit of teamwork here and wrap it up. So I quickly wanted to show here the example of a perfect teammate who knew exactly what to do, how to make a sacrifice when needed, and also how to really protect his team and how to really be a team player. Even though we're not on the same platoon, I'm playing solo, he's playing solo, and we're both just trying to survive here. So as I'm here trying to take out this E75 as I resume my game, clearly hit him in the side, don't do enough. But last minute I noticed that there's a AMX right near me. So I try and position myself in between the AMX and the low is doing the same thing. He's sitting there taking hits because we didn't see him until it's too late. And so he luckily was able to track him just in time for me to load up, get my nice little reload going, and then hit him with a derp gun right in the face. And I mean, it was a great bit of teamwork there. And as you can see, even the other team was seeing that the Lion was doing such a great job in being a team player, sacrificing himself, putting him in the line of fire. That is so uncommon and rare. And I just want to do a special little shout out. That guy did exactly what you got to do to protect your artillery. You couldn't have done any better in that circumstance. And if you ever are in that situation, throw yourself in the way of the artillery if you have to, and it will pay off in spades. While we didn't necessarily need to right then, it would have made a big difference had it been a different match and there were more tanks on the board. But simply said, that guy was the greatest team player I've ever found in a pub. Thank you, Mind Flurry. I was surprised you did that. Otherwise, I would have had to run for my life against the 1390, and it would not have ended well. He got lucky with that engine shot. I got lucky on that reload, and it worked out great. So, I want to thank you guys for tuning into this episode. It's probably going to cut off real quick here. So, join me next time. I want to cover, actually, the new game modes if I can. And maybe I'll touch upon a few new things. So, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next episode.